Brigitte, here, let me just quickly say this. We want to talk a little bit about the refugee resettlement situation going on. Jeff Sessions from Alabama said recently that, again, we've got the omnibus bill right before Christmas. Sessions says not only will the president be allowed to bring in 85,000 refugees, he has announced on top of current record immigration levels, but this will include at least 10,000 refugees from Syria, be able to bring in their foreign relatives, and more than 90% of recent Middle Eastern refugees are on welfare. In 2017, there are going to be about 100,000 refugees, many of them coming from this war-torn part of the Middle East. Where does Brigitte see the refugee resettlement situation going?
Well, it's very scary, and this is exactly why we're fighting it as hard as we can. There is hope that we can stop Obama from bringing the refugees he is bringing. Okay. There's a new bill introduced by Congressman Babin in the House, and already has over 79 co-sponsors. And it's going to be really gearing up next session when Congress comes back to D.C. in January, where we can start really mobilizing the House and introducing another mirror bill, a parallel bill in the Senate. Because let's face it, the majority of people in this country, I mean, I think I heard the latest poll, 67% of people in America do not want Syrian refugees coming into the country because they are concerned about the terrorism threat. So President Obama, acting as a dictator, is not flying with the American public. And this is why the American public right now, especially hearing about the terror attacks, and especially after San Bernardino, is motivated more than ever to, even those who are sitting on the sidelines, to finally say, I am going to make that phone call. I am going to write that letter. I am going to call my elected official. I am going to call the White House and do everything I can to make sure that we do not bring terrorists into our communities.
Well, you know, I mean, many Americans, and you just cited it, the percentage of those who are not in favor of this extremely high. So many Americans they're very security-minded, but they don't see some of our leaders, both on the right and left side of the aisle, being all that concerned. And we've got Republicans caving to whatever Mr. Obama seems to want. Again, 2017, we're going to be having 100,000 refugees coming into America, many of them from the Middle East. Did I hear that right?
Yes, you did, and even more. I mean, these are the classified number. We don't even know exactly the number that's going to, at the end, come under different programs, this program or that program. And like you said, Jen, I think the most frustrating thing about this bill, the omnibus bill, is that the Republicans, you know, you have conservatives like Paul Ryan, who actually approved the passing of such a bill. So is it any wonder why the American public is feeling so, well, not just the American public, but the Republican Party, the Republican base in particular, feeling very frustrated with the Republican elected officials. The citizens, the conservative citizens of this country, have elected because supposedly they're going to stop Obama. And now that we have a Republican Senate and House, and yet they go and support Obama in passing this incredible budget, and to have someone like Paul Ryan actually sign off on it, that's why people are gravitating to Trump, and that's why someone like Trump is finding really his message resonating with the American public.
This is exactly right. The whole deal is that the Republicans are so spineless, no one is willing to stand up. And I think it's just in fear of what the media will say if they try to stand against what the president wants to do. You know, if we didn't have terrorism in the mix, if it wasn't an issue at all, the idea of how many of these refugees will immediately be on welfare tells me how physically irresponsible this is. So, I mean, just start there.
Correct. The welfare situation. This is money going away from our children and our grandchildren and our fellow citizens who actually need the help. We are having a bad economy. So what we're doing right now is taking money away from our own children's mouths and basically handing it to people that we do not know anything about. These people are making up names as they go. They have no ID. We cannot cross-check or cross-reference their backgrounds, their relationships, their associations. A lot of them have fake IDs, passports that are being even made by ISIS.
That's right.
Are infiltrators, and then are going to come here and take money away from our children's mouth that can help them, that can go to support programs that will help Americans, yet it's going to go for refugees. Enough is enough. We have seen what happened in Europe.
Yes,
when
we
Europe
have.
extended itself to bring in refugees from the Middle East, and not just refugees. I mean, they opened up immigration to anybody who wanted to come to Europe. You know, cheap labor. They were so excited about cheap labor. And right now we are seeing country after country in Europe just collapsing from within, where they are not only going in the hole economically, but look at the pressure, look at the deterioration of the social situation in Europe, from the rape to the killing, to the murder, to the theft, to the every other type of a criminal activity. You are seeing an increase, and it's all coming from the immigration segment. And this is why I encourage our listeners to go to our website, actforamerica.org. We named the organization Act for America, not Hope for America, not Wish for America, not Pray for America. You can do all the above, but without taking action, nothing happens.
Brigitte, I'm going to play a minute, 30-second little soundbite, and then I want your reaction to it. And it's Eric Stakelback, who you and I know very well, talking about this so-called vetting process, or perhaps the lack of a vetting process of these refugees, and then I want your response.
Well, there's also renewed concern, very serious concern now, over the migrants and refugees trying to come to the United States from Syria and Iraq. Do you think we have a sufficient vetting process to weed out potential terrorists from the mix?
I don't, Lori. Look, better than Europe, where the open borders issue there is insane, quite frankly. But here in the U.S., again, I'll cite Obama administration officials. Number one, FBI Director James Comey said, yeah, it's going to be tough to vet all of these folks coming into the United States from Syria and other jihadi hotbeds. The FBI director, again, saying that. And the Department of Homeland Security chief, Jay Johnson, said recently, yes, it's going to be difficult to vet all of these folks coming in. So when Obama administration officials are saying that, I think we need to have cause for concern. And two things here, Lori. Number one, the sheer volume of refugees. Europe, obviously, hundreds of thousands flooding the borders of Europe. But here in the U.S., 10,000 in 2016. But President Obama is looking to up that number to 100,000 coming in 2017 and beyond. So it's a major wave. This isn't just a trickle. It's a large group of people. The larger the group, obviously, Lori, the harder to vet. And number two, they're coming from war zones like Syria, which are obviously jihadi hotbeds. But look, these are war zones. Do they have proper identification? How can you vet them? How can you look into their track record, their past, if they really don't have any documentation? It's an open question.
Brigitte Gabriel, and that's who I'm talking to for this segment. And you can find more information at actforamerica.org. I'm Jan Markell. I have Eric Barger in studio with me, quizzing Brigitte. What do you think, Brigitte Gabriel, is at the root of the administration wanting these refugees in America? That's a blunt question. It's very direct, but I'd like a blunt answer.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you're asking that question. I'm biting my tongue and saying, Brigitte, do not say the first thing that comes to your mind.
You can, though.
On the radio. Okay, let me think about a careful answer here. Let me be a good girl with my answer. President Obama feels that we need, because he believed that America needs to be humbled and be on par with every other country in the world, because we are no better than other country in the world. And because he believed that America has been imperialistic country deep down inside, he wants to make us exactly share the burden, like Europe is being so good in accepting refugees and sharing the burden. And because he wants to show the European and the rest of the world that, listen, America is finally, I'm making America be just like you guys and be nicer than the horrible America that it used to be. And we want to be just like you, helping these poor refugees, bring them in, because we have better values, because we care about suffering people much more than we care about our imperialistic, egotistic, materialistic society. So this is why Obama is driven in bringing these refugees coming to the United States, because in his mind, that will also make him look good in the eyes of the Islamic world. It will show the Islamic world that America is opening its arms to Muslims. We're not at war with Islam. We are willing to take in Muslims regardless where they come from, regardless even if they have a security threat. We are willing to overlook that in order to help Muslims.